We, the virtual maritime court, received from Atlantis Marine an original contract of understanding for the sale of the ship Sunrise 3 to the buyer, Gabriel Bass, General Manager of STAM Senegal. After reading the contract of understanding for the sale of the ship, show us the following. 1. The buyer acknowledged that he purchased the ship and also acknowledged on the last page in Clause 13 that he received the ship from the seller, Atlantis Marine. On the date of signing the contract of understanding, October 31, 2022, the buyer became the owner of the ship and was 100% responsible for the ship. 2. The buyer pledged in the contract of understanding that he would pay the seller Atlantis the price of the ship $600,000 after 45 days, on December 15, 2022. 3. The buyer, Gabriel Bass, Director of STAM Company, sent to the ship the owners of the maintenance workshop, Abdulaziz Kamara and Massamba Diop, and they took from the ship to their workshop outside the port of Dakar the propeller, rudder, and other equipment from the ship Sunrise 3. Without this equipment, the ship was in danger of sinking. 4. The buyer, Director of STAM Senegal Company, did not commit to paying the price of the ship after 45 days. 5. The buyer and the owners of the maintenance shop did not commit to reinstalling the propellers, rudder, and ship's equipment after 15 days as they had promised. 6. On November 2022, the buyer decided to take the ship out of the port of Dakar without the propeller and rudder. This is in violation of international maritime safety law and exposes the ship to sinking. 7. The seller, the director of Atlantis Marine, contacted the owners of the maintenance workshop, Abdulaziz Kamara and Massamba Diop, and asked them to reinstall the propeller and rudder. They told him, "We do not recognize you. We acknowledge the director of STAM Company, Gabriel Bass, the owner of the ship. We do not accept any orders or requests from you." 8. The seller, Atlantis Marine, sent warning messages via WhatsApp and email to the buyer and to the maintenance workshop and told them about the danger of removing the ship from inside the port of Dakar to outside the port of Dakar and told them that they will bear responsibility for the financial and criminal losses because this is a crime if the ship sinks. 9. The buyer went personally to the Attorney General, to the Director General of the Port of Dakar, to the Director of the Port of Dakar, and to the Assistant Director of the Port of Dakar, and handed them complaints against the buyer, the Director of the STAM Company, and the owners of the workshop, and also told them that they were also responsible in his professional capacity for stopping this crime and preventing it. Departure of the ship from inside the port of Dakar to outside the port of Dakar. 10. The warnings of the seller, Atlantis Marine, were ignored. The ship was taken out of the port of Dakar on November 2022 and the ship actually sank on January 29, 2024. 9. After 14 months. The sale agreement and all original documents. It is available with us in the virtual maritime court, and the contract and documents will be published as evidence for this case. 11. We suggest that the buyer, the general manager of the STAM Company, used fraud with the aim of pirating the ship, and that the owners of the maintenance shop cooperated with the director of the STAM Company, and we believe that they are partners in the crime because they stole the ship's equipment and refused to reinstall the equipment on the ship, and this is the reason for the sinking of the ship. And of course, the director of the Port of Dakar, Ibrahim Badji, and his assistant, Ismail Bass, are partners in responsibility, in his professional capacity, and because they allowed the ship to depart outside the port of Dakar without the propeller, rudder, and ship equipment. And because of their neglect to send a binding order to the buyer, Gabriel Bass, Abdelaziz Kamara, and Massamba Diop. And also because they allowed the ship to leave outside the port of Dakar without a propeller and a rudder, despite the warnings of the seller, the director of Atlantis Marine Company. Later, we will open an investigation and conduct an independent trial for the General Director of the Port of Dakar, the Director of the Port of Dakar, the Assistant Director of the Port of Dakar, and everyone who the investigation finds him an accomplice in this crime. 12. Based on what was mentioned above, I, Mustafa Al-Al, in my capacity as the founder of this virtual maritime court, decide the following. First, we advise and propose to the Minister of Justice and the Minister of Interior in